We've seen how Luke reacted to finding out Darth Vader is his father. What we never really got in the movies, however, was Order 66 and how Luke Skywalker ultimately found out that his father was the main culprit, the main player in that order. Of course, Palpatine was the one who activated it, but Darth Vader played a key role, together with the clones, in destroying the entire Jedi Order. When Luke found out, he actually had a very visceral reaction to this, finding out to what depths his father went in executing Order 66, not only killing the Jedi, but also the younglings too. Order 66 saw Vader in his ultimate low, and Star Wars issue number 5 of the 2020 series gave us a real purview into Luke's thoughts when he found out about Order 66. So from the first issue onwards, the whole ordeal has been Luke dealing with the fact that Darth Vader not only defeated him, but showed that he was his father. With that, not only psychological turmoil remained in Luke's brain, but also searching for his now lost lightsaber. He searched on Bespin with no luck. Now the Force is leading him to a mysterious female Jedi that appeared in his vision. This vision sent him to the planet Celia, where slowly but surely Luke descended on the planet. Once down below, we see a hooded figure together with a droid working at the port on the cargo bay. All of a sudden though, there is this boy. He presents himself to the figure as Luke, and he asks this person if he or she is a Jedi. Once they heard this, realizing it was too late, they let go of all the fish that they had harbored and made a run for it. Now Luke was desperately trying to catch up, going through treacherous waters in order to gain the upper hand and finally get some answers. Unfortunately for Luke though, he wasn't experienced enough with boats, as his tipped over and the young Jedi nearly drowned if it wasn't for a nearby island. With the help of R2-D2, Luke finally made it to shore. Once he stepped on ground, he was relieved to feel sand again. He told R2 how much he actually loves sand. If I may pause for a second, of course this is a clear nod to Anakin hating sand and Luke being a totally different person, in this perspective at least, loving sand even though he grew up on Tatooine as well, in somewhat of a loving family, although not high class, same as his father as a child. Now Luke noticed some footprints, and this of course showed him his path. Eerily enough, this island reminded him of Dagobah, the dark and mysterious caves, and journeying into the unknown. Luke was now doubly worried because not only did he lose his lightsaber, he lost his blaster as well. This left him defenseless, and all of a sudden, just as he was worrying, he stepped on a booby trap. Lucky for them, Luke still had a third weapon, which was the Force. He used the Force to grab R2 and get him to safety, and also stop the traps from harming them. In the end, it was just too dangerous for R2. He left the astromech droid to stay here in case something happens to Luke. He will be the one to tell Leia what actually happened here. And with that, he journeyed all by himself, deeper inside the cave. The more he journeyed, the more his life was in danger, as he was dodging spikes left and right, traps that were meticulously set. But in the end, his carefulness was just not enough. He stepped on a hidden shaft where Luke fell down, and as soon as he did, metal bars locked him down for good. Now the water was rising more and more, and Luke was trying to use the Force as Yoda had taught him. Now this mysterious figure was taunting Luke, wanting to figure out what he's trying to do. He cannot hold back the entire sea, but Luke had a clear-cut message: do or do not. There is no try. This hooded figure had heard that message as well. Now they inquired what are they doing here and what do they want from them. But Luke already had explained himself. The Force sent him a vision. Luke said, "I saw you. You were calling to me." He is training to be a Jedi, just like herself. But she was no Jedi. And in her book, anyone who wants to be that is a fool. As quickly she pressed a button, and with that, the sea stopped rising. Although Luke took credit for himself, the hooded figure finally admitted Luke was strong in the Force, maybe perhaps stronger than she was, but she is pretty good at reading people. She can tell when they're lying. And Luke is telling the truth. He is not one of the hunters, as the hooded figure called them. He is just a poor, deluded kid, as she finally revealed himself to be Verla. Now, avid readers of the Darth Vader comic series of 2018 will know that Verla is actually one of the disciples of Master Bar. In fact, she was one of the strongest ones since she was Force sensitive, and she was training with Master Bar to become as much of a Force adept as she could. Her training, of course, was cut short once Master Bar died at the hands of Darth Vader, and she finally escaped Mon Cala. Even still, Verla did not believe that this boy was destined to be a Jedi. But Luke had a different question. What does she mean when she says hunters? Now Verla understood the naivete of Luke. He really was over his head and didn't know anything of what had happened and what is currently happening. Verla was disappointed that someone had told Luke about all the good stuff about the Jedi, bright warriors of peace and justice, but they skipped all the bad parts. Did he ever wonder why there aren't any more Jedi around? If it were so great, why would more people want to become a Jedi? She guessed that whoever taught Luke about the Force did not mention the Inquisitors or the Purge. The Purge, said Luke, not knowing anything about it. This cemented it for Verla. She already knew that Luke shouldn't walk the Jedi path, but now she knows Luke shouldn't. She finally started explaining to Luke Order 66. At the end of the Clone Wars, she told Luke, when Emperor Palpatine took power, he declared the entire Jedi Order to be traitors. He issued Order 66, and most of the Jedi died that very day. Not just full knights either, but Padawans, even younglings died in the Purge. In fact, Order 66 still stands to this day. Jedi are to be killed on sight, even people who might be Jedi, people like me. That's why she ran away the first time she saw him. In order to quell the Jedi threat, the Empire sent out powerful Force users, which were dark side adepts, to hunt down any Jedi survivors. This group was called the Inquisitorius, but their boss, he was much worse than any of them, and he's still out there, laying above the pile of rebels and Jedi. This monster of monsters was pure and true evil, and Luke knew exactly who he was as Verla uttered the words Darth Vader. The moment Verla said that name, Luke reacted in a way that was strange, and Verla started picking this up through the Force. Although Luke tried to deny it, she reached out with the Force and tried to get inside his head. She saw Luke's hand being cut off. Luke was lying to Verla. Who is he? Now Luke was grabbing his head, his memories were being toyed with, and he pleaded with Verla to stop. But in the end, Verla found out the truth, that Darth Vader was Luke's father. He is Darth Vader's son, and Luke pleaded with her that it was a lie. He knows it was a lie, but Verla was not hearing it. She reactivated the trap, and now the sea completely engulfed Luke in that trap. We later see Luke, of course, getting rescued by R2, but what's interesting is that we've never actually seen Luke address Order 66 in live action, whether it be in a live action series like the Book of Boba Fett, like the Ahsoka series, even in the movie. So it would be cool later on down the road to see Luke Skywalker actually talk about Order 66 and the consequences that that order had on the entire Jedi history.